Hello. We are back in another episode of Mobile App Redesign for Developers with our special guest, Brandon Minnick.
Hey,
Hi, Brandon.
Luis. Good to see you again.
Oh, yeah, it's been such a long time.
It's been a whole 5 days.
Yeah. So, how is it going? I saw some emails today as well. You're like bumping some versions in the repository for some of the
Woo.
dependencies. What else
Yeah.
did you get to do?
Oh man. Yeah. So part of it is I recently added Dependabot to the GitTrends repo, and I don't I don't hate it, but I'm debating whether or not I'm gonna keep it because yeah, there's just a lot of noise. Like obviously, we've talked at length about all the NuGet packages, open source libraries that we use in this app, and there's a lot of them. And so, what Dependabot does, anytime a new NuGet package comes out, it'll automatically update it and open up a pull request. And that seemed like a really good thing when I was setting it up, but now, yeah, it's just kind of become annoying. Like I will get blown up with emails because Dependabot opens one PR per NuGet package,
Yeah.
and just recently there was a point release for .NET Core that was pushed out. So there's a we're on like it's like .NET 5.0.1 dot I'm sorry 5.0.103. There's a new version of .NET Core, and anytime that happens, all of the associated NuGet packages also do a revision bump. So there's like anything that you're using for your backend. So like anything with like refits, HTTP client factory, that gets bumped. Microsoft dependency injections, that gets bumped, and so yeah, I just got like flooded this week with pull requests, and so I don't know, man. Maybe it was just a busy week, but on top of all that, Refit, which is an amazing library, highly recommend it to everybody, and we use it in GitTrends to allow our mobile app to communicate with our backend APIs. And Refit just takes away a lot of the boilerplate code. So you don't have to say HTTP client.get async, deserialize, blah, 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 blah. It'll just do all that automatically. And it's really great. And they just had a major revision bump from 5 dot whatever to 6.0. And that had some breaking changes. The big change is they pivoted from newtonsoft.json to system.text.json, which is the .NET JSON library, and I agree with them. It's definitely the right call. I've slowly got to do that for all my libraries, but was not ready for that. So yeah, I got this pull request from Dependabot, and it's like we updated Refit. And I'm like, okay, great. And then like went to run the code, and it was like, oh, nothing runs. And it was because of all these dependencies on how we're using the deserializer newtonsoft.json. And because there's things like, well, pretty much all the code is immutable, or all the models are immutable in our code. That's something that I really push for and recommend to everybody. And there's a trick with newtonsoft.json where you can have a constructor, and if the variable name in the constructor matches a field in the JSON blob, then newtonsoft.json will inject it in that way. It'll inject in all of the JSON properties, and it's as if you just created a new immutable object. It's great, but I haven't figured out how to do that with system.text.json yet. And so, man, yeah, it's either yesterday or the day before. I just had to kind of scramble and figure out like, what do I do, right? I can either rip out newtonsoft.json completely from the project, figure out how to do all this deserialization, but realistically, that's going to be a couple days, if not a week's worth of work to just figure that out. And what I ended up doing was I found that Refit released a newtonsoft.json support library. So I ended up implementing that, but even doing it, even adding in the support library, it wasn't as easy as just like one line of code. You still had to tweak some settings. So I got it all figured out, but it's got me thinking about the future just in general. I mean, yes, for GitTrends, but also for all my other apps about ripping out newtonsoft.json. It's probably time. The system.text.json library is more optimized anyways. Like James Newton King, who created newtonsoft.json, literally works at Microsoft now. So he even recommends using system.text.json. And so, yeah, I just started thinking about it. Like I actually updated the NuGet package today. I have a NuGet package called GitHub API status that we use in GitTrends. It is how I know whether you have reached your maximum API limit before I call it a GitHub API. And I went ahead and ripped out newtonsoft.json in there and replaced it with system.text.json. So I think, well, I'm going to have to do that in every library going forward anyways. So, yeah, I might as well start thinking about it now, especially with like .NET 6 is right around the corner. The preview of .NET 6 preview 1 should be out. We'll say soon. I can't give a date, but I've heard the internal date, and it's very soon. So stay tuned. But yeah, like once we have .NET 6, then we really don't need newtonsoft.json anymore, and so it's the future, but was just not expecting that. Not expecting that on top of all these Dependabot PRs that are usually just like, oh, bug fixes. Okay, merge that PR in. Bug fixes, merge that PR in. It's like version change, major release. It's like, So yeah, I was scrapping a little yesterday, and then today, sorry, I know I'm talking your ear off, but before jumping on the show with you today, I was like, well, I made all those changes on the main branch. It's like, let me bring them to our branch. We're working on the version 2.1 branch because we're working on version 2.1. And it was just like merge conflict. I'm like,
Wait. So, yeah, it makes sense that you made it in the main branch, but I also could have seen like the struggle you went through with the merge conflicts when you were bringing it out to where you wanted to work.
Yeah. Well, and it's always like what I've found anytime you're doing .NET stuff, especially when you're using NuGet packages, which is probably 99.9% of the time, if the CS proj file has changed. So if you've updated the NuGet package on the main branch and you've updated or added a NuGet package on your developer branch, then there's always going to be a merge conflict. Like there's, and I don't know how to solve this. I don't even know if it can be solved, but that's just one of those things that I found is just, it's always going to happen. And so, yeah, updating all these NuGet packages on the main branch, thanks to Dependabot, and then working on our dev branch, where I ended up adding Skia Sharp. So we've got dotted lines now on the about page for our separators. And I ended up doing that in Skia because I couldn't really get the Xamarin.forms shapes or paths or lines or whatever they call it.
We're gonna
doing what I wanted it to do. Hey, if there's a way to do it, awesome.
Yeah.
Like, let me know if you could do a dotted line with the Xamarin.forms libraries. But there's a couple things I found that I didn't like.
Yeah. So what were some of your hurdles when trying to implement the paths for the Xamarin one? Because I thought, I've not tried it, but I thought it was just simply copying the SVG path and putting it in that. I need to see what it actually does. But that was my assumption.
Maybe it is. You know, like I definitely gave it a good solid try, but and again, like hopefully it is, and I just couldn't figure it out. But the first thing I didn't like was all of these shapes libraries are are sealed classes, so you can't inherit from them. And not that that's a deal breaker, but it's annoying because I inherit from label and button all the time so that I can make our C sharp control, or make the control in C sharp. And then when we add it into our layout, you can just drop that in instead of like having to nest all these things together. It's nicer, it's cleaner. Plus you can reuse the code. So like we have multiple separators on this page, and I'd like to have one class that I can just reuse for both, but can't do that because they're sealed classes. So not really sure why, but it is. And so that was annoying. But I was like, fine, whatever. We'll just duplicate the code in two places. I hate it, but it's fine. Um, and so, yeah, when I went to, like, there's literally a class called line. And the problem with that was it requires you to give it the, um, basically, like, the location on the screen. It's like the X and Y. And it reminded me of kind of doing an absolute layout
Yeah.
where you have to specify like it's going to start here and it's going to end here. And if I was just drawing a line randomly on the screen, I think that would be fine. But I couldn't figure out how to do it or how to do it properly for our grid because we already have a grid where it needs to go. So instead of just being able to say like line dot fill and like just fill up the grid, or fill up that grid slot, you had to specify like exactly where it should go on the screen. And I was like, yeah, I could do that, but then I'd have to figure out like the location, the X and Y coordinates, and plug those in. And ended up just finding an example of how to do it in Skia with just a couple lines of code, and that worked. So we went with Skia. I mean, if anybody wants to try it out, feel free to open up a pull request. I'm more than happy to remove Skia as a dependency because just in general, you don't want to necessarily add a big dependency like that just for this one little thing, but
Yeah.
it works.
Now that you're mentioning Skia, I remember, I think during the weekend, I was going through some of my tweets, and I remember liking specifically a tweet that mentioned. So they had this cool project. It's like a company, right? And I think you also retweeted it. It's like they have a submarine
Oh yeah,
robot, and they did the whole UI with Skia and everything, and it's a Xamarin app, and I was like, oh my god, that's so nice.
looks really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an underwater rover,
Yeah.
and you control it with the Xamarin app. So the Xamarin app's got like two joysticks on it, but the entire background of the Xamarin app is the
Yeah, the
video, like the
video.
live video coming back from the rover. It is really impressive.
Yeah, they could control like even the flash of the rover, everything with the UI. I was like, it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yep. So what do we have for today? Where did we left off last Friday? If I remember correctly, got to
Yeah.
we got to work on the alignment and spacing. If you want, you can share your screen there. But going back to last Friday, I remember we were working on the alignment and spaces for the collaborators and library section, just getting the spacings between each section balanced. So once our users saw the UI, they would immediately distinguish each section. We also got to work a little bit around the buttons. We noticed the buttons were getting a little bit smaller. We adjusted them to their proper size. I think today we're gonna still work a little bit on that. And I think we did a really good progress. Let me go ahead and share your screen here. And today we are probably gonna be working on the stats, getting those titles evenly separated, and yeah, maybe work a little bit more on the buttons as well.
Yeah, pretty much, man. We're getting really close, and so I want to show you what these separator lines look like. And let's see. can show you the code while that. Nope,
I
nope, there it goes.
see. Yeah. While you load that, I see there in the chat we have one of our loyal attendees, Paisas. He says, "Hola." Hey,
Hey,
welcome.
Faz,
And
welcome back.
yep, we're happy you're here, and I hope you enjoy today's episode. Right? Hopefully, we're not gonna have. Uh, we always say this. We're like, oh, hopefully today we finish, but let's be honest.
There
We're probably gonna finish today, but we're not gonna promise anything. We're gonna jinx it.
you go. Yeah, I mean, really, it's the text, and this is something where like I just need to give it a little bit of thought and just pop something in there. So we need to do the text. The spacing between the separators, I think, is what we'll focus on today. But
Yep.
that's kind of it. So just to show off, this is the Skia code. A lot of this was just kind of copy pasted because it seems to be a pretty common thing people want to do in Skia. So this is the dashed line in question, and
Wow,
this is kind of cool.
it looks really nice.
Thanks. Yeah, this is my first time working with Skia. It's something that's been on my to-do list for a while, but yeah, apparently, well, it is. It's pretty easy. It's a little strange though because you have to subscribe to this method called paint surface. And if you think about it, it does make a lot of sense in the Xamarin.forms context because before we can, well, let me back up. Skia is just a canvas, like a canvas like an artist would paint on. So just picture like a blank canvas, and then you're going to draw on it with your brushes. And the reason we have to subscribe to paint surface is we can't draw on that canvas until Xamarin.forms has inflated it and put it on the screen. So we write all our Skia code here in handle paint surface, and that's where it'll tell you like, here's your canvas and here's the info about the image. And once you have stuff like that, then you can figure out how to draw the line. And this is kind of what I was missing with the Xamarin.forms shape or line was, I don't really know the pixels of where this line is. So like I need you guys to help me out before I can tell you the X and Y coordinates. And yeah, the nice thing in Skia is I can use image info, and I can just get the width and height of it. Nice. And so yeah, what we're doing, we're making, I don't know if this is the best practice or not. The samples had it, so I kept it. But canvas.clear obviously just clears the canvas, so it's like starting all over. And then you just tell it how you want to paint it. So I told it that I want to do a dashed path, and you can pass in these numbers. So the even number, I mean, they're both the same. They're both 8, 8 floats. But the even number is the part of the dash that will appear, and then the odd number is empty. So you can have any sort of like repeating combination that you want. But here we're just doing 8 on, 8 off, and then you can tell it the color, and then you just tell it to draw it. So that's when you say draw line. Whoop. There we go. And that's where you pass in the X and Y coordinates where this line's going to start and where this line's going to go. So it wasn't too bad. I did find I can't bind to this color property. SK Paint just isn't bindable, which is a bummer because I would have rather used a dynamic resource for the color because we have our light theme and dark theme. But what I did find is you can invalidate the canvas by just calling this method invalidate surface. So what I ended up doing is just subscribe to this method called handle preference changed. So anytime the user changes their theme preference, then this fires. We invalidate the surface, which causes Skia to call paint surface automatically. So it still works, and we'll still get the color. And you can see when we switch from light theme to dark theme, boop, the line color changes too. And this is something I wanted to talk to you about because right now I have the color of the line matching the background of the navigation bar. So when it's
Uh-huh.
light theme, we get that, we'll call it the GitTrends green.
Yeah.
And then dark theme is, um, it's a very, very dark green color. It's basically gray. But so that's the color we're using here. I don't love it because at a glance, I don't see it.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how it would look on an actual iPhone or actual Android device, but
So,
I'm
you know,
thinking, go ahead.
yeah. So if you notice the Adobe XD file, I think you passed it, but it's gonna be even better for you how I decided to do it because I just decided to keep the same color of the light theme and the dark theme. Because remember,
Oh,
sometimes we can use some saturated colors to like bring attention to a certain point. So I decided to just go with the same green, which is 500, so it's saturated and it's gonna have a nice pop to that section there.
even better.
Yep.
Let's see.
So I gave you an easy one there.
Oh, I see now. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's really easy. I can do a
Yep.
lot of stuff now. So we don't need that. We don't need this. And this should just be hard coded as that hex value. Perfect. Oh wait, no, it's more specific than that.
Uh, could we could we assign it to to the color we have in the lighting bar? Maintain that one somehow. Because
Oh,
let's say in the future we decide to do different teams and stuff. Uh, I'm sure this lines would maintain the same color as the lighting bar color. So
yeah. So, what would be the best way to do? Oh, I see. We already made that public.
yep,
Yes. So base theme dot light teal color hex.
yep, perfect,
Base theme light teal color hex. Boom.
perfect.
Easy. And
Problem solved.
yeah, easy peasy. And so yeah,
Yeah,
man.
but
After that,
it
it's
was a
pretty
valid.
much.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just say after we do this, it's pretty much just doing the spacing on our statistics.
Yep. But
Getting super close.
that concern you had there is a pretty valid one, and sometimes I would say we could get like uh, I was like clouded in the dark team guidelines, right? Because they say, okay, remember you should not use saturated colors for the dark theme, but then we go back to some of the notes that mention, well, it's not a rule that you can't use saturated. You can use it, but in spaces that it's not like the biggest part, like the biggest proportion of the page, right? Because the problem with saturated colors is that if you have it in a dark theme, it's gonna hurt your eyes when you have all the lights out. So that's why you don't
Mm,
want too
hmm.
much of them, but using a little bit of them is good. And in this case, it's important to do so because if you use an unsaturated color like the one we have in the text or the top bar, you run into the issue you were having that you're not really noticing that little line because it's too thin. Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Oh, there it is. I think it's yeah. You can see it more clearly.
For sure.
Let me see the width of this. Did you define the width of that?
Yeah, I did. It was so I ended up bumping up to 2 pixels,
Yeah.
2 points. Um, because I originally had it as one when we first mocked up the page, and once I introduced Skia, the line started getting clipped, and so
Oh, okay.
bumped up to 2.
Yeah,
But
2 is good. I was gonna suggest to maybe bump it up 1 or 2 more because I think it's kind of thin. But
oh, really?
maybe it's because I'm just looking at the simulator. Maybe in the device it
Let's
does.
bump it up to 4.
Let's see how it looks.
Loading. Yeah, I
Yeah,
gotta figure out
after
how. Yeah, it's these columns. So yeah, I was thinking about this for making it so the spacing looks good. We kind of have 2 paths forward. They both kind of have pros and cons. And so one path is we just adjust the column width for watching stars and forks. Like we do a little trial and error. We figure out just what looks good, what makes it look like the spacing's even.
yeah.
All right, there's your width of 4.
Yeah, that works. I think. Is it
Right on.
too? Is it too big or? I think it's good.
Yeah, let's try this. Do screenshot, and then we could drop back down to 2.
So yeah, we can definitely play around with the columns of the separators. And I think the second part you're gonna say is define a value for those columns of the statistic, right? Have a like an absolute value for those, and play with
Um,
that and center everything in the middle. But let's say
yeah,
I give 80 to each and just center everything in the 80.
we can't do that. I mean, that's basically what we're doing now. Each of those columns are the same width, but because the text takes up more, it's the spacing between the text and the end of the column is really what we're worried about.
Mm-hmm.
So, so yeah, one solution is make these different widths. So like watching will have to increase its column size, stars will have to decrease, and
Yeah,
stars
yeah.
is just a shorter word than watching. And that'll definitely work. So here's, all right, actually, let's stay focused. All right, here is side-by-side comparison, 4 versus 2.
Uh,
4's definitely bolder,
yeah,
but
let's
I
leave it in two.
think, yeah, I think the big difference comes here. Because here on 2, that green is a lot more subtle,
Yeah, yeah,
and the color almost looks wrong
yeah.
when it's 4
When it's
pixels wide.
4, it looks like too obvious that there's a line there. So, no, it's okay.
Yeah,
2
and it
is
also
good.
looks like we just like I would prefer if we kept it at 4 pixels. Well, I think we're gonna keep it at 2, but
Yeah,
if we did decide to go with 4 in the future,
we need to
then I
decrease
would
the
say we
dashes.
could use this color because
Yeah, yeah. Just
this,
now is bigger. Yeah,
yeah, it doesn't fit the color palette.
yeah,
But because the line's so skinny over here, your eye kind of blends the background with it, and it feels
yeah.
darker. All right, sold. So, right, so we either adjust the widths, or we just get rid of these columns altogether, and we put in essentially a stack layout here. So we turn this into a view. So like
Yeah, we could do that
the
as well.
watching, the 18, that's its own view. And then with stack layouts, you have the row, or you have the spacing. So the spacing, we could make it a constant, and then in between watching, you'd have that constant space. Then you'd have the line, and then in between that, you'd have that constant space again,
Yep,
and the next view. So
that would work
that
as well.
that's the other way to do it. So what I want to check out first is how things look on iOS versus Android, particularly a font sizing, because if we start tweaking, if we went with option one, where we're just changing the column widths, we're going to tweak those and watch it, see how it looks on iOS, for example. And then when we jump over to Android, the text sizing could be totally different, and it might just look like garbage on Android. And so we ended up just wasting our time. Whereas if we do the stack layout, then we know the spacing's going to be perfect. That being said, you don't. You want to avoid nesting layouts. And what I mean by that is the layout for this page is a grid. And then in a perfect world, we just place everything into the rows and columns where they belong. Once you start adding stack layouts inside of stack layouts inside of grids, it makes it really hard for Xamarin.forms, or really any engine. This is true for any UI you're doing. Once you have things dependent on other things, then there's a lot of calculations that have to be run by the UI engine. And so in this case, we're going to have a stack layout, like actually, oh gosh. Actually, this could probably be a grid. So we could have a grid for the icon. But no, we tried that. Well, we'll see how it goes. But so right now, this is a stack layout.
Oh.
And then I think that's a vertical stack layout. And then we're going to put it all into a stack layout inside of our grid. So that's like 4 layers deep of layouts. And to be fair, on this page, it doesn't matter much. Like this page renders once, and that's it. If this was a data template, so something that'd be scrolling through the list, that's really where we'll see some crazy performance problems. But in this case, we can probably get away with having some nested layouts, even though I don't recommend it and I try to avoid it at all costs. I do think that's the best path forward, because you can already see like how these, even though it's the same exact font library, we gave it the same weights and values, like they're just rendered differently on different platforms. And especially with Android being so wild, this is the Pixel, but the Huawei might render the text differently. So yeah, I think the best path forward is just to stack them all up. That'll ensure perfect spacing.
Yep. And it's as you say, it's not going to be that costly for us in this paging in specific, because this page is basically static. Like it's going to lay out, and we're not going to be rendering that piece of the UI, right? So yeah, I definitely like the idea of doing the stack layout, and it's gonna give you more flexibility to control the spacing between each and handle them as separate, right? So we can just put a like 4 spacing or something like that, and keep adjusting and just see what works best.
Yeah. So yeah, let's do that. But I guess first, let's see what we got. So, like I was saying, okay, so yeah, we already have this as a stack layout. And let's see. So that's the title. So the title's a stack layout. Okay.
Yep.
And then the statistic is technically in the column below it.
Oh, so probably we're gonna have to. We can either remove that row or just span that row, because we're no longer gonna use it.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, let's start hacking at this. We'll call it a statistics. Let's see. So we'll have shoot, what do we call this now? So this whole thing's going to be one view. Maybe it's just GitTrends statistics view.
Yeah.
Statistics view. And this will be a horizontal stack layout into which we'll put each of these. So I think, like I'm drawing boxes around this, and I think this could probably be a grid. And I want to go with grid because I, basically just for performance reasons, stack layouts have to resize every time you put something into them. And looking at this, we're adding in the icon, we're adding in text, and then we're adding in the number. The number is also bindable, so that starts out as, well, I set the number to just to be blank if there's nothing there. So that'll consume a lot of cycles just to keep resizing itself. And so I think what we can do is have a little grid right here that contains all of this. So let's cut and paste some stuff. Let's all right, I forgot what these are called. So we got statistics label. Let's bring that into here. And then stats title layout. So right now that is a stack layout. So, we could totally keep that as a stack layout. I tell you what, let's keep it as a stack layout for now. It'll just make this first iteration a little easier. And then these will go in a grid. So, oh gosh, it's gonna be some wild code. So we'll call it the statistics grid. Put you in a grid. And we're just going to be nesting classes like crazy. So yeah, this grid should just be 2 rows, and then we'll say like row definition equals rows, rows.define, and then we bring in the namespace. Boop. And these rows will end up being equal to these rows, so 16 and 20. Actually, let's just copy that. We'll get some red squiggles, but we'll fix that. So we'll have to create that enum row. Probably just say title number and row definitions, right? Row. What am I spelling wrong? Row definitions. We're in a grid. Did we bring the wrong namespace? No, xamarin.forms grid. Rows not defined. And row.
What?
Oh, silly. I'm not in the constructor yet. I'm trying to define stuff that can't be defined. There we go. Let's get this a little prettier. Row.title. Define. Whoops. There we go. Okay. Whew. Hate that when you get just so far into the what's that? You can't see the forest for the trees because you're too deep into the woods.
You're too hyper focused.
All right, so Yeah, so we don't really need to define any columns because the column's
It's
going to
only
be
one.
just one.
Yep.
So we should be able to say just children dot add. So that'll be a statistics label and statistics. Okay, so the title layout goes first. Let me go ahead and turn off my reminder to take breaks because can't afford it. All right. So new label, but I can copy paste. I should probably have these side by side. All right, so we're gonna have a new. Oh, and I was assigning that to something. Oh, I don't need to do that anymore. Do I? Well, let's just cut and paste it. So I have a new title layout, and then we'll have a new statistics label. And this will be a little different. Now I can't see my own code. All right. Because I can't reference the view model anymore, but we can just do a binding. And this will have to be a value that's passed in. Watch the title label, watch the title label. And I don't think... I'm just going to go ahead and delete this code right here. That was the experiment I was playing around with. All right, so yeah, we need to tweak this a little bit because I can't hard code the text anymore.
Yep.
Because I don't have a reference to my view model. I mean, technically I do, but we can just do it as a binding.
I have an easy fix for you. I'm gonna get kicked out of the program, out of the show because of this suggestion, but why not put everything static?
No.
We don't do that here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's... Is it something we could do? Yeah.
Yes.
But it's sloppy and it's... it
I would
leaves
say
the
it's
door
playing
open
with
for...
fire.
Yeah, it leaves the door open for future bugs.
Yeah.
Which is the worst kind of bug. So,
Yep.
yeah, if you can avoid... Like, if you kind of think a couple steps ahead, then you can avoid those bugs and everything will be great. So that's a long... All right. So we'll say... Because we get the number from the view model, so we have to convert it from a long to a string, and we say... we'll just say number dot... Should be a nullable. Oh, I got this backwards.
Yep.
I can never remember what order that goes in. Number. No, I guess we do this. Number. Number has value. So if it has a value, then we'll pass it a number. I guess we have to say dot value dot to abbreviated string. If not, then I just say string dot empty. So instead of showing 0, we'll show just nothing, which is a little bit nicer. And we don't need to assign that, but we do need to give it a row. Oh, shoot.
Wait. So let's say I have 0 watching. So it's gonna just be empty under it?
That'll... no. So if value is 0, I'll show you. So these are nullable longs.
Okay.
So when the app first launches, every time the app launches, it'll call the GitHub APIs to get the latest metrics, and then it'll update the latest metrics from GitHub. It stores them locally, and then when you launch this page, those are all loaded in. So all those values are passed in here. But if for some reason it failed to connect to GitHub and get those values, and the app has never been able to connect to GitHub and get those values, then they'll just remain null. And if they're null, then we just display an empty text. So
okay, could we put how do you call this? Let me put it in the chat. It's a line. You know, the same line we use to put the underscore. How do you say that?
1 second, let me throw that in here. And where are we?
Yeah, so could we put like this line instead of 0?
Sure.
It's gonna, so I'm just imagining how it's gonna look at the end if we get to that scenario. So it's gonna look like just the titles and nothing under it. So I think it will look a little bit more, I would say, like we were expecting it to be. Like if it's empty, we put a little line which tells you like, okay, we don't have anything there, or it's probably 0 or something.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. And in theory, you should never even get this far without these having values. Like the whole point of that animated splash screen is it's doing all the initialization before the app actually launches. And so all these numbers are gathered during that initialization. If anything in that initialization fails, then the app never launches. It just displays a little error message that says, please connect to the internet or update to the latest version. And so, yeah, technically nobody should ever see a dash there. But yeah, just in case. All right, so now we just have to make this reusable. So SVG file name. And then the colors are all going to be the same.
Yeah.
So that's fine. So then we just need
the value.
Statistics label automation ID. That. And it's binding. Okay. In string. I always forget what that's called. That is the binding path. I guess we could probably just shorten this to be automation ID, and we'll say binding path.
Nice.
All right. So now, we also need to bring in the separator, because that's going to be too. And throw you down here. Actually, no, you got to go up one level. Bring in all the namespaces. Well, we don't need to use a constant for that anymore because
we already decided.
Yeah, because that was shared there. Oh, but actually, probably should keep that as a constant in this file. So say separator. Oh shoot, what was it called? Column
Yeah.
separator. It's not a column anymore, so we'll just equals 2. And we're just thinking, in case we ever want to change the width of the line.
Yeah.
Okay, so we should be able to stack everything up now. And do you know what the spacing is supposed to be between these things? Between like the
Yep. Let me confirm right now. 12.
12.
From the separator to
Yeah.
the text. Yeah, 12. From
Sounds
the
good
end
to
of
me.
the text to the separator.
All right. So let's see how this works. We'll say children.add. We'll pass in a new statistics grid. So the title, about page, constants, and the first one is watching. Its SVG file name. We'll just copy paste some stuff here. Unique views. .svg. Its automation ID. There we go. And name of about page, about view model dot watchers. Boom. So after that, then we add in a new dashed line separator. And then we kind of lather, rinse, repeat. Something. Let's just do this. Let's give it a width request of the separator width. Just in case. I'm not sure how Skia would handle this and paint it. Like if the canvas would become huge while the line was still only 2 points wide. I don't know. But
yeah,
this will be a little bit of insurance. All right, so then the next one will be stars. And I think I still have that code here. Yeah, so star.svg. Make it easier to copy paste stuff. This. And you will be. Sure, that star label? Yeah. Stars. Great. And lastly, got forks. Forks. And that should be it for this. And so that still looks pretty readable. Oh, we should also say that the orientation needs to be horizontal. And I wonder if we should define. Yeah, let's define the column size here. Or wait, no, because they can't be the same size. Okay, false alarm. All right, so I think, yeah, we just say, we go back to the about page. We rip out those columns. So we're no longer going to have separate columns. So left padding icon.
Some spans.
Well, yeah, I mean, since we're getting rid of all of this, one of those was a star, right? Oh, icon is star. So icon's going to end up inflating to be a lot bigger. So let's make icon's column at least. fixed width. Let's see. What was that? Horizontal padding. Horizontal padding is 28. So if this is 28, 27, we'll call that close enough. Let me snap this to the icon. Then, so this was 27. So this should be 90 for the icon. Assuming I got that correct. And then we'll just call this statistics. Statistics. And all right, so we can get rid of, there is no separated column there. There is no title column. There's just going to be statistics as a star. Woo! Get rid of some namespaces.
We need to update all the spans and remove this code here.
Yes. Oh, all the spans. So statistics. Yeah. Oh, there actually won't be a span anymore. So that's nice. And then none of these will exist anymore. We'll just say new statistics. GitTrends statistics view. And it's row. Your row.statistics. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Row. Stats. Oh, we have a stats number, stats title still. Those will go away. So this should just be stats, and that'll be 36. And we'll blow away stats and number. We'll keep it statistics just to be consistent. Statistics. All right. So you're in the statistics row, and you're in the column statistics. And that should be it, but I'm sure we missed something.
Yeah.
That was
all of these spans over here.
Oh yeah, the rest of the column spans.
Yeah,
so,
for the collection views.
So anything that's an icon. Let's see.
Just span.
Yeah, because after icon is just statistics. So if you're in icon, it should be 2. If you're in statistics, it should be nothing.
No.
So icon, you're 2.
Yeah.
Column span, all's fine there. Do we run it?
Yeah, let's try it. I have confidence in us.
Oh, I don't. I have confidence in us, but that was a pretty sizable refactor, and so
yeah,
there's gonna be something that doesn't look right, guaranteed.
Something is gonna blow up.
And if it does look good, then
there's something wrong.
Yeah, that makes me even like more nervous. Yeah, let's keep these together. So, yeah, like I said, I don't love putting a. Let's see, we put a grid inside of a stack layout, but we have a stack layout inside of that grid. So a stack layout inside of a grid, inside of a stack layout, inside of a grid.
Yeah.
Try to avoid that, but also know when it's okay to break the rules, because that's okay sometimes too.
Yep. It all depends on your use case, and just making sure that the decisions you're taking are based on, a prior analysis like you're doing. So anyone that's watching this and it's a strong believer that all your layouts should be one level. Yeah, if you can achieve it, if the case allows you to, you can have multiple levels.
Oh.
So. Ooh.
It's actually It's actually not too bad.
Nice.
I do see a couple things like this statistics view is not centered. We want to center it inside of that column. Obviously, the icon dropped down, so I'll have to figure out what happened there. But that
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
suck.
Oh,
So
I think there's a row span for the icon, and there's a spanning to another row that we eliminated. Remember what happened when we did the span to the unexisting columns that it basically created a column.
yeah, so that'll now center the view, and then yeah, so the image. We are spanning 4 rows, but how many rows do we really want it to span? So starting at title, we've got our description and our statistics. So yeah, you nailed it. Should be 3 rows. And that should do it, man. I'm going to flip over to iOS just because we have the easy light theme, dark theme toggle in the simulator.
Yeah. Yeah, but if it's working in Android, which is the one that is always like chopping up for us, then we're in a good
That's a
time.
good point. It's a really good point.
Yep.
So that wasn't too bad. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking I could refactor it a little bit more and I could probably remove a layer.
Yeah.
Like we don't need a stack layout inside of a grid inside of a stack layout. I think we could flatten that a little bit and just have a grid.
Yeah. Just have the grid, have a column for
Like
the icon.
yeah, like this could be column 1, column 2, and then row 1, row 2. But
Yep.
it's working. I'd rather commit some code. Well, it's working. And then if I'm feeling crazy, we could go back and refactor it. Not too bad. The icon is definitely smaller now. Not saying that's... Oh, is it? Or am I just making that up? Let's size this. Yeah, the icon got a little smaller. So
Yeah.
So what that means, because we're just using star for this column, basically just means we never sized the icon. So we are now closer to the mockups than we were beforehand. But I kind of like it. Actually, no, it doesn't look like the mockups. Maybe I just measured that wrong.
Yeah,
I think the icon needs to be bigger.
It's a bit bigger, yeah. If you notice, the Git goes all the way to the GitTrends, like from the middle of the GitTrends all the way down to like almost starting at the icons of the watching. So that's how big it should stand vertically.
Yeah, let's play with that a little bit. I mean, 100 is divisible by 4. Let's see if that beefs up the icon a little bit more. Let's see. And then the icon spans these 3 rows. So 32 plus 48 plus 36. 116. Okay. So the biggest we could make the icon column would be 116. Because if we go past 116, well, the column will be bigger. I'm sorry. We can make the column as big as we want. But the biggest we can make the icon would be 116 by 116 since it's a square icon. So, yeah, we'll see what 100 looks like. And then once we get this, man, I'm gonna commit this code to the branch.
Well, there's one little other thing.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. So you see the buttons too close. I want them a little bit further down. Because if you see the mockups, um, the buttons are almost in the numbers. You see?
Yep, a little bit more
So,
spacing there.
yeah, they need to be a little bit further down so they're not like eating up the attention of the stats.
Yeah. No problem. I'm gonna make that a little bit bigger for the icon. Yeah, let's see how we're handling those buttons. I remember we put in margin, but let's see. So the buttons row is 60 points. We have 2 points of column, I'm sorry, 6 points of row spacing. And then our button layout,
Oh, there it is.
we have margin. So we have top and bottom margin, 8 and 16. What we can probably do is we can increase this margin. So if like we bump that up, well, actually, what should it be? Let's look at
So the top one is good. It's the bottom one that needs to be a little bit bigger.
So 16 and a half is how.
Yeah,
That's strange. That's almost exactly. I guess we had. Oh no, we have a top padding of 8. So we're about to make it 16.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. So if we bump that up to 8, what I'd want to do. Say 68 here as a comment, just so I don't forget. Let's see how it looks, but we might have to increase that row size because the buttons might get squished from the extra margin. It's definitely getting close.
Yeah, I think once we finish that, it's just adding the text and that's basically it. Did the icon get a little bit bigger as well? Gotta check that as well.
Yeah, I bumped it up to 108. So I think when we deployed this code that's running on the simulator here, it was 100 points.
Okay.
I gave it 8 more width points. Oh, and I just noticed we have a margin on that.
Oh, really?
So there's actually.
Oh, we can take that off. Oh, but maybe the right one is gonna.
Yeah, it'll.
Nice. That's good.
So the buttons did get squished.
Yep.
All right, so let's add that 8 in here. And then we should be pretty good.
I'm excited.
I know.
Almost done.
Because then it's text, it's translations.
Oh, dude, you added the actions for each button as well. They're both working. We saw that like in 2 sessions ago. So
Yep.
Yeah.
All of the I was gonna say rows, columns in the collection view. Those are all tappable as well. So if you tap on a collaborator, it'll take you to their GitHub page. If you tap on a library, it'll take you to the NuGet package. We fixed the bug with the duplicate NuGet packages where like refit with a lowercase r was appearing and refit with an uppercase r was appearing.
Yep.
We've done a lot of work on this.
Nice.
Look at that.
Yep. I think that works.
Yeah.
So it looks like a lot on the top because we're missing the third line. But once we have that third line there, it's gonna look exactly like the mockups.
Yeah, actually, good point. Let's go ahead and add in a little bit. Ooh, what did everything just flash for? So about page constants. Da, 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 da. Thank you. GitTrends. Yes.
Here, I'll give you some Lauren so you can just copy paste there.
I just doubled it.
Put it in
Oh man. What changed? You moved. Accidentally dragged and dropped the about page somehow. Oh! Oh no!
No, don't tell me you just took all the changes out.
I did. I did just delete all of our changes to the about page.
No. Yeah, because that was a new
Oh.
view. Wait,
Oh
no.
man. Shoot.
Coffee break.
Yeah. Try to think if there's a way that they're still salvageable because the app's still running, but no, this just removed them from Git. It's still
we
fresh.
should have committed. Yeah.
It's we can do this.
It's okay. It was a practice run. At least we know it's possible to get it done, right?
Right? Everything was going too well anyways.
Yeah.
All right, so we changed this to statistics, and that became star. The icon became 108. This became statistics and was 36. Action buttons became 68. Our button layout increased that. That was 16. This doesn't need to be here anymore. That doesn't need to be there anymore. This stats layout doesn't need to be here anymore. And then up here, I'm going to forget this before we mess with those red squiggles. We don't need number. We don't need any of these separators. And then we got to update our spans. So if you're in column icon, then that's just column span 2.
Yep.
Column span 2.
Yep. And if you're in statistics, you get no column span.
No column span. Oh gosh. What a rookie move. The row span here decreased. And then all of this became new GitTrends statistics view. Row dot statistics, column dot statistics, comma. And I think we're back to baseline.
Nice. Yep. Run it. We're just missing the comments and stuff, but it's okay. We have to define the final values already.
Yeah. That should be good. It's building, so that's a good sign. Oh man, yeah. When I saw, I don't know if anybody else noticed it, but all the syntax highlighting flashed, like it all went white, and then it came back, and I was like, why did it just do that? Turns out when I was scrolling through the Solution Explorer, I must have dragged and dropped the About page into a different folder, moved into a different namespace, and then shame on me. I should have just moved it back, drag and drop it back. But I was like, oh, I can just delete it here. Delete it using Git.
It would have worked if we would have committed it, because the only thing that would have changed would be the move. But we didn't have that commit, so we just fell back all the way.
Look at that. And now we have 3 lines for a GitTrends description.
So we basically removed the whole page. The whole page changes just to add another line, but it worked.
Yeah. Easy.
Yep. Hey, it looks really nice. It looks like the mockup now. Like the spacing looks neat.
I know. I'm like trying to be critical of it, but I don't see anything. Like the spacing between the text and the statistics look good. The icon size looks solid. mean, this is being really picky, but the font doesn't look as centered. Like if I were to draw a line through,
Oh yeah, it's not centered with the icon.
like,
Okay.
yeah, the center of the SVG seems to be right here.
Uh-huh. And I would say the bottom of the label is in the center of the SVG. So it should be like center of the label with center of the SVG, no? Or bottom of the label with bottom of the SVG. I don't know.
Oh, so like the vertical text alignment, make it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Actually, let's see what we got. Let's see how we wrote the code.
And how do we have it in the onboarding button? Maybe we can copy paste that.
We are leveraging that. So let's see. So I made about page button. So this, well, here, I'll show you what I'm talking about first. So in the onboarding page, that has,
Oh, there it is. Center, center. Vertical and horizontal. All the way in the bottom. GitHub logo label.
text. Wait, something's not right. Oh, I see. Because this says connect to GitHub.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
So
I did
the
it totally differently. So
logo label is the actual icon because we're using font awesome, right?
that's interesting. Yeah, so two different solutions. Although I think I want to stick with what we did on the about page because the about page is using the GitHub SVG. And I'm thinking we should keep that instead of using font awesome because the feature request button is also using an SVG.
Yep.
So there's a possibility of those two to look different. But yeah, let's just kind of ignore that one over there. Push that away.
Yep.
So
Nothing to see there.
all right, so I made this class SVG text label. That's a pancake view with a stack layout. And inside that's a text label. So everything's centered. So the text should be centered. Center and expand might be what's wrong here. So let's do this. Let's give this a background color.
What is this padding? Well, no, padding. 16, 10, 10. Yeah. Let's put a background and see what's happening there.
Yeah. All right, so this will show us what's really going on here. You know what? Let's give that. I don't know if I can give it. I don't know it'll show up if I give a background color to the SVG, but let's go blue. Background color equals color.blue. All right. We'll run this once Visual Studio deems it's appropriate. I hate that, man. You say like cancel build and it goes, okay.
Yeah.
And like, no, like cancel it right now. And it's like, yeah, no, I got it. Like,
I'll get to it. Don't worry.
like, what's the point of the cancel button if you're just going to keep building it? Like, just cancel it, clear the bin and object folders. Done. I don't know. Maybe there's a better reason that I'm not aware of.
Yeah. But I've had, like in the past, I don't know if still it's like that, but I know in the past I've canceled builds that I need to like kill the Visual Studio because he's like in another world. He's
oh yeah, man.
Oh,
I come down here and I just say, go force quit. That's how you cancel a build.
Oh yeah, it's like keeping you captive there. Like we're not gonna work today.
And I think it's like it's trying to like undo anything that it might have done during the build, but like I'm the next time I run the code, I'm gonna build the app again. Like you don't need to undo anything. Just
Exactly. What are you saving?
fine.
Like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
use it.
Yep. Yep. There's your problem.
Yeah,
So
it's not expanding the whole thing.
so yeah, the label is just smaller than the SVG. Yep. Okay. So that center and expand. Well, I wonder if we say fill and expand.
Yeah. Perfect.
Um,
Horizontal as well. Just in case.
horizontal's fine because it's going out. Let's see. Just curious what this SVG image does. Fill and expand. Okay. So probably could have used that. Yeah, you know what? Let's just say this dot fill and expand. That'll get both both horizontal and vertical, and then we can also say text center. That saves some lines of code here. Boop.
Perfect.
And we could even say font. The family is font family. Size is font size. And then that gets rid of this. Look at C# markup. So good. I don't think text and text color can be marked up. Yeah, so fill and expand should do the trick.
Nice.
Hopefully. But we still have our
Like
background colors in place. We'll see how it looks.
Like if no one noticed, we're just flexing our C# markup extension right there.
Little free advertising for
Yep.
C# markup extensions. Yeah, I mean, it's just so much easier. Like this dot center and expand. Done.
Yep.
Actually, that padding? I don't know if we can do padding. Padding.
We have everything. Have the power.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Padding. Horizontal, vertical. I assume this is horizontal, vertical. Yep.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
Nice.
So now they're the same size.
But I still see the bottom of them, the middle. So yeah, try and put it bottom, the text. No, wait. Zoom in again. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong.
Whoa. Whoops. Zoom in here. So they're definitely centered now. Like the center of the icon runs through the center of the text.
Yeah.
And so let's just get rid of these background colors. That'll give us a better sense of how everything actually looks. And
Hey, careful.
yeah, I know, right? So I just want to make sure that this was center expand. I'm just gonna go ahead and commit this.
Yeah.
All right, now it's stored safely in the cloud.
Perfect.
But I think it'll look good. If anything, I mean, the font isn't as tall as the SVG, but there's not really a way to do that. I guess we could make it all caps, but
Wait, what was the font size you gave to it? Here I have 14.
14 unless it's a small screen size, then I had to bump it down to 10.
Okay.
Otherwise, the text would get truncated.
Okay. Sounds good. I mean, let's see it now, because I think it's really close. and nobody's really gonna be like, 1 star. Your view, your text for the GitHub button in the about page is a little bit not centered.
Completely unacceptable.
Yeah.
It's jokes on them because it's totally centered.
Yeah.
It's just
Nice.
like we were saying a minute ago, like the text's a little smaller than the SVG, but
Yeah.
I don't know. We could make the SVG smaller, but
Yeah, because in the Adobe XD project, the SVG and the text is almost the same size, but I think we have the SVG a bit bigger in the project, and that's why it looks like that. I don't know. See?
yeah, this is something I was playing around with a little bit. What was the limiting factor for the app is the length of the text. That kept getting truncated, and so
Yeah.
when I was playing around with this and putting these buttons together, I had to find the right amount of padding and the right amount or the perfect font size so that everything would fit without getting truncated. So let's see how it looks on Android. I think that looks good.
Yeah. I say ship it. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing, because really we can't make the font bigger because then it'll get truncated at the end. So you'll see view on ... and request ... So if we increase the font size, that doesn't solve it. So the only way to match the SVG size to the font size would be to make the SVG smaller, which would mean we could just increase the padding around it. But then the button would get smaller. I don't know. I don't think it's
I think it's
worth
good
it.
like this. Just
Yeah.
yeah. So
Cool. And I think that's what I just committed. Nice.
Yeah. So I would say the only thing left is becoming poets now and figuring out what we're gonna put in in each of the descriptions, and that should be good for this page.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about this. Just came to mind. There's a whole GitHub repo with a README. Like, I've already written text about this app that we could probably just copy paste. Well, that's more of a story, so that doesn't help too much. So, all right, never mind. And then I guess I just said resources. Dang it. All right. So yeah, we have to.
Wait. I think I recently did one blog post. I was recently like adding all the activities of the year.
Yeah, let me share. I'll let you share your screen.
Yeah, let me go ahead because I think I did a custom like intro for that, talking about GitTrends. Maybe not, but let's see.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I'm betting go on it. Let's see. So share screen, and this is gonna be screen 1. Okay, let me know when you can see it. So yeah, I think it was this one with the .NET
Cool.
show. No, so it's the other one. It's the one for. So maybe not. Oh, wait. I have two more. I have two more. Toronto. Yeah, I think it's this one. Let's see. Let's see. I know I did at least like 2 or 3 lines about literature. No. We tried. No. We're gonna have to make it up. Yeah, I thought here, maybe it's in the slideshows. I need to find it. I know somewhere I made some text for it, but I don't have it at hand right now.
That's okay.
But
I mean,
I think we can use the README as a guideline, right? And make something now. So maybe share your screen again and let's see what we can come up with.
Yeah. All right. Bring this back up. Boop.
Okay.
So, I mean, we're already pretty close. Like, it's an open source app to help monitor. ...
I mean,
So-
I also like the last line you have on the README, which is like, GitTrends is an open source app that helps you stay on top of which repos are trending. Ensure code is not ghost.
I don't know, man. I don't see that anywhere in the README.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
appreciate
There it is.
the
Go
the
down.
about right here.
No. Scroll down. It's the last paragraph of the read. Here. See? With GitTrends, I can stay on top of which repos are trending. So we could be like, so GitTrends is an open source application that allows you to stay on top of your trending repos and ensure your code does not go stale. And then we make an advertisement about that and publish the short 5 seconds video. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Maybe I can repos.
Yeah, I mean, to help monitor your GitHub repositories to ensure. So you're monitoring GitHub repositories to, we'll say, know which ones are the most active. Know which ones are, or we can just say like repositories, views, clones, issues, forks, and stars. Open source app to help monitor your GitHub repositories, views, clones, issues, forks, and stars.
Maybe it's too. I think maybe that's too direct.
Yeah, I mean, we could also. So if we want to go the opposite route, we could do something more about like open source app built in C# using xamarin.forms.
Oh yeah.
To help you monitor your GitHub repositories.
Yeah.
And then we get a little free plug in there for Xamarin. Like that.
Yeah. And know which
work.
one is trending.
The
name says it already, so it's okay.
Yeah, and I'd want to see this first because eyeballing it, it looks like this is about the same length as the text I just deleted.
Lines.
Yeah. So then, like, collaborators, thank you to all our amazing open source contributors. That's actually not bad at all, but we just need to fill 2 lines. So, we could, I mean,
that ensure GitTrends stays.
Yeah, and so like we say thank you, and like we could say something like tap on a contributor to learn more.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Something like that. To learn more about you can tap on them. Let's see how that fits.
Yep.
Because that should be pretty close. And the libraries, leverages following libraries frameworks. We have like similar.
There is a ton of Git. Thank you to all the amazing libraries, community libraries, or open source libraries. Yeah, libraries and frameworks that Perfect.
Something like that.
Nice.
And that's a similar length, so that should take up 2 lines. And something I just thought of was
Oh yeah, because that one is 2 lines instead of three. I was I was thinking it was three as well. So yeah, it has to be a little bit smaller than the first
yeah. Yeah, the thing I just thought of was how this will look on an iPad.
one. Oh, let's not go to that conversation now. Are we gonna do version 3 for multiple screen sizes?
I mean, right now, 96% of our users are on iPhone, 3% are on iPad, and
One on
somebody, I assume,
desktop.
with the M1 processor has it running on desktop. So,
Oh wait, wasn't that uh Versa Lewis?
oh, Gerald, yeah.
Yeah, Gerald.
Um,
Gerald was playing around with his trying to build
yeah,
GitTrends, no?
yeah, he tried to play around with Frank Kruger's Catalyst implementation.
Yeah.
But these, actually, speaking of Frank Kruger, this is Frank Kruger's app, AppStat. Highly recommend it. Um, there it is. So AppStat connects to the Apple Developer Portal. So yes, Gerald was playing around with getting GitTrends running on the desktop using Catalyst, but these numbers are actually from the Apple Developer Portal. So this
Okay.
means somebody downloaded GitTrends from the App Store and has it running on their desktop, which is pretty cool. The other thing that's pretty cool is 45% of the downloads are for Australia, which
Nice.
is,
We're famous in Australia. Well, remember when GitTrends was getting to the top like 10, 30 in Australia,
oh,
we
that's right.
reached top 10. Like I think that was one of the first places we reached top 10.
Yeah. We hit top 10 developer tools. Yeah, I think the highest one was definitely Australia. I think
Yeah.
we also broke the top 10 in Germany.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I think there's another European country. I'm blanking on the one. Um, I think somewhere in the Balkans. But yeah, that was really cool. didn't
Definitely.
didn't expect that to happen.
I mean, it kind of makes sense because I know in Australia there's like a lot of community members that are really active on Xamarin. So definitely, I would say there's a good Xamarin. Uh, I would say public, right? So
Oh yeah. The what's the word I'm looking for? Not GDP, per capita.
yeah,
Yeah, like the Xamarin developers per capita are definitely higher. Yeah, C Sharp just seems to be more popular in Australia. I don't know.
yep.
I mean, well, I don't know why, but
Yeah.
no, I think this looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I just added an exclamation point here, so it kind of, well, let's go ahead and run it. It should help separate the text a little bit. Um, it kind of looked like the text was bleeding into the next line where the watchings and stars was.
Mm.
But I think the exclamation point, the punctuation, if you will help
I mean,
delineate that a little better.
we have exclamation points in the two that are on the bottom of the page. So might,
Yeah,
as well,
that's what I was thinking too.
might, might as well add it in the other one as well. So that
Consistency.
they know we're excited in the whole page.
So exciting. Can't wait for nobody to ever look at this page.
Yeah. Like we have worked so hard on this page. And then once we start
Uh,
getting the analytics of this, like I want to see it like in a month or 2 months. How many people have seen it?
you sure you want to see it? I don't know, I mean, but again, like I feel like it's something you have to do. You gotta,
Yeah.
like, with an open source app like this, you gotta give credit where credit's due. And
Yeah.
oh, that looks great.
Nice. Yeah. Ship it. I like it. Wow.
And then we can view it on GitHub. You can request a feature. It's gonna tell me to log in first though, but the users of the app will already be logged in unless they're still in demo mode for some reason. This is just
Wow.
scrolling beautifully.
I mean, and how much time has this been in the making? I would say this redesign. I think we
Well,
almost
here, I'll
made it
tell
to a
you.
year, right?
Let's see. It's currently on version 2.0.3. So that means, oh, dang. I was hoping I could see here when we pushed version 2.
Yeah. No, but
Because
I mean,
basically,
even since we started when it was beta, like it was around March we started, right? And we're
oh,
almost in
yeah.
March, so it's almost like a year work of experimenting, redesigning all the sections.
Yeah. So we pushed version 2 to the App Store December 19th. Oh, got to go to the next page to see version 1.
Wow.
Um, so version, let's go all the way
Oh,
back. Let's go all the way back to memory lane.
yep.
So I pushed this to the App Store February 24th, 2020.
Wow.
Thinking that, and it was, but I was like, this will be a nice little pandemic project because, the pandemic was only supposed to be like a 2 to 4 week
Yeah.
lockdown. It's like, this will be fun. It'll keep me busy. Um, so Oh wow. Okay, that's right. I had to
Yeah.
add the demo
The
mode
demo mode and
before
everything.
the App Store would approve it because iOS is like, we can't use your app. And I'm like, just connect with your GitHub account. So I had to add that demo mode. That's right. So really, yeah, it got pushed almost the last day of February. So basically March. But
Yep.
then we iterated, or I guess I iterated on a little bit. And that was around the time you reached out,
Yeah.
which was awesome. All these zeros were just kind of features. So like
Yep.
adding sorting
Sorting,
stuff, fixing some crashes while it was still, let's say, in beta. Oh, we added the notifications.
notifications.
But yeah, it really wasn't until this big push right here between
Yeah.
March and May when we redid the whole entire UI.
Yeah. It's
But
almost full circle.
but the about page alone has been
Almost a
a
month,
month
I
and a
would say.
half,
Yeah.
maybe a month if you cut out the holidays.
Yeah, I'm definitely proud of everything we have achieved. Because when we started, we were like literally in zero in terms of design and like what does it really take to have like a clean and immersive design as the one we have, and like working with colors, our team, how we were gonna structure the whole design and the code. Like, uh, remember when we first added the different teams that I know initially you were not using what was recently, I would say, released, like the team engine for
Oh,
xamarin.forms, right? We had the older version. So
well, I
yeah,
had to build my own because
hmm
that was before xamarin.forms folded in all the theme stuff,
yeah,
and it was like right around the time Xamarin Essentials added it. But
yeah. So definitely it was, I would say it was a great pandemic project. We got to learn a ton. We got to kill a lot of time and bear through the COVID pandemic. It's still ongoing, but I would
yeah,
say it was way better to pass it working on this project, collaborating, and just learning different things every month. So yeah, I'm really
I
grateful
agree.
that you gave me the opportunity of participating with you. And
Oh,
yeah,
I'm just thankful you dove in head first, crushed it, man. And and yeah, what's kind of cool. I mean, I don't know about you, but I literally use this app every day. Um, it's part of my developer routine.
yeah,
I check my notifications on GitHub. I check Stack Overflow to see if there's any been like upvotes, downvotes, comments on anything I've posted there. And then yeah, I pop open GitTrends to see if a repo is trending, and if it is, then usually, well, sometimes I can dictate my whole day, because then it's like, oh, I haven't touched that one in years. Let me go update that code real quick, because looks like somebody's trying to use it.
Yeah. Definitely. So I would say now, what would be our next steps in terms of the project, right? So we did the final polishments for the about page. We committed that code. We have the descriptions out there. So basically, it will be what the translations and
Yeah, and I'll put my screen again, because we do have open issues on the GitHub repository.
yep,
Um, there's one thing. Speaking of translations, I pushed out the total button on that first page without remembering
yeah,
to get it translated. So that's got to get in there before we push 2.1, which will include the about page. We have a bunch more of, excuse me, we have a bunch more translations open. I mean, really any language we're open to, but these Greek, Norwegian, Swedish, Danish were originally ones that were volunteered by someone in the community who didn't end up getting around to it, which is fine.
yep.
Let's see. So there's network graphs. This is forks that may have new commits. Okay, so
Oh,
what that one's talking about is this. I don't know, man. This is, I don't know if you ever looked at these network graphs, but they are messy. It's it's kind of like what you see in source tree, where
oh
it
yeah,
shows you
where you
like,
have on the oh yeah, yeah,
but
like all the branching.
oh, I would have thought. There we go. So yeah, like, look, this is cool, but I don't know how much value add it'll bring to
Yeah,
anybody. I can say I personally never look at this on GitHub.
yeah.
Um,
I've never gone through it on GitHub. I do use it on other tools like SourceTree and stuff, but
yeah,
me going to the GitHub repo to see this section, not really.
yeah, and ironically, like, nothing's showing up down here for anybody else. So,
Yeah,
like, people have definitely committed code to the repo, but for some reason it's only showing up. So I
yeah.
mean, yeah, that's an open feature request that we could work on. Uh,
I
Me
will.
personally, not my top priority.
Yeah, because those network graphs it's only gonna show sometimes for some contributors because depends on what that contributor is doing, right? If he just creates a pull request, it's a quick change and gets merged, you're not gonna see any more branches that he's gonna be developing there. So if it's something like
Yeah,
the what just got merged in the Xamarin Toolkit, I believe it was the dialogues feature for it. That has been like in works for like
oh, the
a
pop-up
year.
control.
Yeah, the pop-up control that has like a year or something in the works. So he
Yeah,
has, he has done so many changes to it. That maybe will be a case, but how many repos have that? I would say.
yeah. The other one is like the watchers tracking and forks tracking. I honestly don't know if this data is available, but that could be a feature. I could see myself being curious about that. So like,
Yeah.
I could see us adding that as another carousel page here, where you can
Yeah.
see your watchers and your forks. Um, that could be something we work on next. The extend the views and clones beyond 2 weeks. I don't know. The correct way to do that costs money.
Yeah.
Um, we could throw together something that would work, but it would have to store all the data locally. And then, like, if you ever got a new phone, you would lose it.
I see one that says more UWP. Maybe in that next six when
So,
we
yeah,
when we get
actually, yeah,
Maui.
with
Yeah.
.NET 6 around the corner, actually, no, you're totally right. This should be the next big push, because .NET 6 will allow us to run it on Windows and Mac OS.
Yep.
So maybe what we do, we call this like desktop app
Yep.
or like desktop support so that it is inclusive to both Mac OS and Windows.
And in
That
that one, we're gonna have to then do the multiple screen support.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So that could be a whole project.
Yep.
The other one that I wish we could do, because this is one that I would really like, on GitHub. So the same way we
Oh,
get the referring sites, you can actually you can click into that. Uh, but as far as I can tell, and I've documented here in the issue, that GitHub doesn't provide that in the APIs. So if anybody can figure this out, let us know because I would love it. Because right now, if you, I'm signed out, but yeah, on the referring sites page, if you tap on any of these, it'll just take you to that website. So,
okay.
um, but I would love for it to be able to drill down because this is actually something I check. We'll leave that big. This is something I check on GitHub when I'm curious.
Yeah.
So like if I see somebody came from my blog, codetraveler.io, then I can see that most of the people actually unique are coming from what's this? SQL database? SQL database.
Yep.
So that's good things to know, or especially other cool ones are like if you come from Reddit.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. Reddit
A good
sanitizes their
one is
paths.
the xamarin.forms. I've used that in some repos, like some of the plugins, just to know if like they're creating a discussion in some forum and just see what they're talking about. Maybe I'm able to answer the question. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely a good part of the referring sites stats that you get from GitHub.
Yeah. And like I said, I would love to have it, but um doesn't I couldn't find it in the GitHub APIs. So if anybody else can find it, I will bump this up to be a top priority because I want this feature. But
Yep.
actually, I thought about it. I thought about doing screen scraping
Oh
because
yeah, like scraping the
if I know
website.
the repo, then I could basically click into this myself
Yeah,
from
it's great.
just using screen scraping. And like, I started. Oh, I didn't start it. I didn't write any code, but I started thinking about going down this path, and it's like that's just so brittle because like all
Yeah.
GitHub has to do is make a quick change to their website, and then the app's just broken, and then
Yep.
we get 1-star reviews because I
The
tried to do
whole
something
page
hacky.
is yeah.
Yeah, because you can look at this URL and you can basically parse the URL, so
Mhm.
it's probably doable, but it's just one of those things that like now I would have to push an update to the App Store every time GitHub changed their website,
Yep.
which is not ideal. I wish they would just expose this as an API. And maybe they do. Maybe somebody watching can find it for us. But until then, blocked. So
Yep.
yeah, probably desktop support is the next big
Yep.
thing. Yeah,
Yep.
stay tuned
Multiple screen.
because .NET 6 is coming out. Preview 1 very shortly.
Oh.
Definitely this month.
Oh, hey, nice spoilers. So yeah, I definitely agree. We should start also thinking about how we're gonna view that in a desktop. So maybe start thinking about those mockups. We already have a head start because we already have the whole app outline, and I think it's gonna be an interesting new subject in our series. That okay, now how can we basically migrate this right from a single like a small screen now mobile device to having it now on a tablet or a desktop. So there
Yeah.
we're gonna learn how if we have a list like the repositories list, which is a main list and it has their details, right? how we can basically migrate to a desktop app. And what we're gonna do is basically we're gonna have like a menu here on the side, and on the other side we can have the details in the same screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's I mean, what's wild and I'm gonna say vastly underappreciated by non-developers is that we're basically making another app. Like
Yep.
we're gonna reuse a lot of stuff. Obviously, all the business logic is the same, but like as far as the UI is concerned, this is a brand new app. Like every is gonna be all new pages, new views, because everything's different, and you can't just take a mobile app and stretch it out. Like like literally, if you run GitTrends on an iPad, it's not gonna look good
Yeah.
because we didn't design it for iPad. But yeah, I'd say let's start doing that. Let's start sketching out some desktop designs, play around with those. The other big blockers I foresee will be the libraries. So the NuGet packages we're using.
Oh
Do they have a UWP control, a Mac OS control? We're gonna find out, and
yeah.
that that could be a blocker.
Yep.
That's
That's
it's definitely blocked me from making macOS apps in the past because there are certain things that I would just have to open a pull request to this library and basically do the whole platform support for them. And it's just like, or I just don't bring it to desktop. So,
yeah. Exactly.
yeah, we'll go through the library lists. So things like all the UI controls, certainly like so like Pancake View. UWP's got the. I'm sorry. We just added in James Montemagno's store rating plugin. I don't
Yeah.
think that exists for something like that in UWP. So yeah, we'll have to figure out all these different scenarios and angles, but uh, I think we could probably split up the stream like that. So
Yep.
maybe one day we work on the design, another day we like kind of start parsing the NuGet packages. Like we can
Yeah.
have a little spreadsheet and go through all of them and see who has support, who doesn't. We could talk to the open source maintainers, see what they're thinking, because
Yeah.
that's going to be that's probably going to be the toughest thing is if we hit a library that just won't run.
I mean, we can always invite them as well. Like on that session, we can talk. It will be, I think, a good uh
It's a good
new,
idea too.
yeah, a good new concept for the episode. Like, okay, we need support for this library. Maybe it doesn't have it, but let's see also what does this maintainer think about the new changes that are gonna be coming, and are they excited about it? Do they want to now start supporting UWP since we're gonna have Maui and everything? So
Yeah, and I imagine a lot more libraries will. Like when I think about any libraries that I have, like once .NET 6 comes out, once .NET Maui comes out, I think there's going to be a much higher demand for desktop support because Xamarin.forms says always supported desktop, but not really.
not really.
But with the commitment on .NET Maui to say that, like, yes, we at Microsoft are going to pay the money, like, we're going to pay for those development costs to ensure that iOS, Android, macOS, and Windows are all fully featured, then I think we'll see that demand go up, and a lot of the library creators will have to respond, or new ones will come out because maybe there's
Yep.
old libraries we're still using that like, nope, I'm not even gonna mess with that.
Yep.
New library supports or new library creators. But anyways, man, yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Okay, so for next Friday, what our to do? So we need to request translations,
Mhm.
and we need to talk to Kim. We never invited him, so let's try and invite him maybe for next week if he's
Oh,
available,
sure.
or the other one, and get his opinion about adding the animation like just talking about animations and skill shop, and how would he like maybe improve the GitTrends app? Maybe
Yeah,
we could do some transitions or something to make it a little bit interesting, or I don't know. We can
sounds great.
definitely. Yep.
Yeah, because .NET 6 won't officially land until November, and so
Yep.
we'll be able to start playing around with the previews. But even .NET Maui stuff won't make it in until about preview 3, preview 4 of .NET
Yep.
6. So we do have tons of time before we even get to
Yep.
being able to do stuff for desktop. But
Yep. Definitely.
yeah, that'd be cool. I'd love to have Kim on. Um, and I think the time zones will just work because I think he's waking up around this time in Australia.
Yeah. Mhm. So yeah, do we have any events for this week? I know as part of the Dominicana community, we have our third session in the Azure for Devs workshop. It's still going great. Last week we learned about mm, app service, and we also got to show them a little bit of the procedure of how the certification exams go and what should they consider for their space where they're gonna take the exam. And we also got to practice some practices for the Azure fundamentals. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we're gonna start seeing some of our members getting that certification. So yeah, we're really excited about that. So if you know Spanish and you want to take the workshop, go to our meetup and just sign up for the test sessions. We have all the recordings there of the previous two, so you can get up to speed as well.
Awesome.
Yep.
Um, I don't know any events off the top of my head. I will say I did just watch. There was a meetup yesterday that I missed. I didn't go to it live, but let me share this link in the chat. Where is it? Oh, where are we? There we are. So the Tech Valley .NET user group had a meetup yesterday that featured David Ortnow talking about xamarin.forms 5, .NET 6, .NET Maui, and so highly recommend everybody go check that out. Like
Nice.
the well, I don't know. I was about to say the nice thing about missing meetups. I don't recommend missing meetups. It's always more fun to do it live, and then you can actually ask questions and meet people. But because it is recorded, I watched it at 2x speed, so an hour and a half presentation. Watched it while I was eating lunch.
Yep.
Done.
So yeah, I think we did a great progress today, and I hope everybody has a nice rest of their Wednesday and middle of the week. So we'll see you next Friday, and yeah, have a great time today. Bye.